Hey everybody, how are you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day. Now I would like to make a quick little video to help you guys if you are looking to write your own science fiction, kind of like a how did I do it kind of video. So what I want to talk about today is for you to find your own concept artist or artist of any type. What I have playing on back here behind me is a slideshow of some war mech art that I contracted a artist for, and he went and made some fantastic visual, what I would call assets at this point, and it is phenomenal, phenomenal art. I know that as an author, my job is to basically tell a story with words, right? To paint a picture with words. But I know that a lot of people are visual learners. A lot of people are used to, at this point, video or movies. So they're very used to visual aspects of storytelling. Books are fantastic, but I think that in order to enhance the experience of the reader, any sort of art that we can include as authors helps to immerse the reader into our universe. So one of the really awesome, cool factors, is what I would say, of Revelations is the war mechs. But I am an awful artist as far as, actually drawing or anything. Like I can do okay, but I mean, it's really, I wouldn't even really say it's okay. It's not anything that I wouldn't even take $1 for it. It's, in my opinion. So what did I do? I'm like, all right, well, I know one of the cool factors of Revelations is the war mechs. I need somebody to help me create some art. And I will tell you straight up, it was a pain in the butt to finally find someone. And I'm not saying that to deter you. I'm just saying that because it's work. It really, really is. What I decided to do was I decided to interview artists. So what I did was I figured out, okay, I went through and I found a whole bunch of pictures of concept art from other things, from other universes that I'm like, okay, this will help me get in some inspiration for how I want my things to look. And I'm like, all right, well, I need to find someone who can do this. So I went to Fiverr.com. I went to Craigslist. I started asking in some different mech groups that I'm part of through Facebook. I started asking around. And what I started doing was I started interviewing people. When people would say, hey, I'd be interested in doing this. Obviously one of the first things that I need to know is, are you even capable of doing this? You need to see their example work. You need to discuss, how quickly can they do the art, complete the art. I would say that basically, if you're going to contract someone to create a piece of art for you, you need to understand that you are hiring them to do freelance work. What that is it's basically side work. Now, some people are freelancers and they do that for a living. They just are a freelancer. A lot of people aren't, though, because it's really difficult to make a living at it, especially if you're going to contact people through like DeviantArt.com. That was another good source for me to talk to people. That's actually where I found the guy who did all of this art for me, was through DeviantArt. And then I messaged him. I think I sent him an email, then we ended up connecting through Facebook and stuff. But a lot of the people that you're going to find that are a reasonable price are going to be in other countries. I'm in the United States. Hiring an artist in the US is expensive. It really, really is. And you have to think, okay, if I'm going to hire somebody in the Middle East, where that's where a lot of people are from, or from Asia that are also available that can do this sort of work, they're a lot cheaper, but then you have a language barrier. Then you have different things you have to overcome. You have a different time of day that they're awake. I believe the artist he's from Malaysia. So he's basically, my 10 in the morning is his like 10 or 11 at night, and so he's talking to me like right before he goes to bed, and I'm just getting up and ready to start the day, So, and he's got his day job. So he does his own thing, and he's also doing other freelance work. So I have to understand that I'm not necessarily the biggest client, even though I'm doing bulk orders and even though I'm sending him work. I have to be patient in a way because I sort of have to work within what he's doing in order to make a living. Like I was starting to say, price is a huge deal. I got a fantastic deal on this art. I will say that at the recording of this video, most of the people that I've contacted want, I would say $80-ish is the low. And that, now I'm saying based on people who you can see good examples of mech art. If you want like characters, there is a million people who can do characters. But when you're looking for specific art, I mean, you're looking at several $100s from some of these people in order to make real professional grade art. The art that I have, I didn't pay that price at all. I paid much, much lower, and it worked out really great for me. He was happy with the price. I helped, he said it, and I'm like, all right, yeah, let's move forward with that. And we're starting to adjust it with time as he's figuring out, okay, this takes more time. I'm like, well, you're doing really good work. I'm willing to pay more in order to get the same level of work because it's worth it. And it's really difficult to find an artist to work with to begin with, and you have to sort of build a relationship. I feel I should make a separate video just for how to interview an artist because, and if you're interested in that, comment below, and because that's like a whole other process, because that takes time and going back and forth and trying to figure out who's a right fit. When you're first getting started, you may not know what you want your universe to look like. I spent basically, Revelations was an idea that started in 2008 and hasn't really started per se until like 2017, 2018. So understand that I was on and off with Revelations, so I had time to really think about what I wanted over the years, on and off. I didn't kind of start and then just say, okay, let's go. So you may have a different process than what I went through. You have to sort of figure out what you want your look to be. Then you have to find an artist who can do that look. And then you have to find an artist that can do your look that you can afford and that is willing to do the work. And those are all little check boxes that you have to make mentally, but it's a tough list. Understand that when you're looking to try to get an artist, it's probably going to take you several weeks or several months to finally locate one. It took me a long time to find this guy, and I don't want to let him go, but at the same time, I have to keep getting art. So if he decides at some point, look, I gotta either raise the price a whole lot, or he's not interested anymore, it's business. I have to understand. I have to move on and find someone else. A lot of people I have found do a lot of anime style art. I personally am not a huge fan of that. I wanted my mechs to be more Western inspired. By that I mean more blocky, more realistic, more robotic or more animal-like rather than humanoid. With a lot of animes, you have a lot of stuff that looks like a guy in armor. And I wanted to get away from that. So all of my mechs have are trying to be anyway, and this is still all concept art that could change as Revelations progresses. But the idea was that it looks more in my mind, what mechs would probably actually look like, given technology advancement, right? So it's not necessarily what it would be today, but what it would be, if people could continue to work on this, say in 500 years, just as a ballpark thing. So it takes time to find someone. I had to figure out my own look. We had to experiment with things. He would send me some rough sketches sometimes, and I'd be like, no, that's so far off. I would say that one of the best things that you could do, invest the time to really, really think about what you want. Because otherwise, if you don't really care what ends up being created, you're just like, I just want cool robots, or I just want cool characters with swords and lasers and stuff. You can find someone who will just send you cool stuff. But is it the stuff that you want? Is it stuff that's going to fit within your universe? That takes a lot more time, a lot more dedication, a lot more effort on your end, because no one can tell you what your universe looks like. Only you can. So yeah, you could hire someone to say, look, I just need help. I don't know. I just want characters that can shoot fire out of their eyes. All right, you can find someone who can do that. But if you want someone to fit a specific look, that takes a little bit more time on your end to really think about, what do I want? What do I want it to look like? What do I want it to feel like? What do I want the reader or the person looking at the image to get from this? And you could get sucked in and get all crazy. I just needed to spend a couple hours to really think about it and move forward with my own stuff. Find pictures that I could use as examples and say, I really like the legs of this look. I really like the arms of this look, the torso of this, but I would like it changed a little bit, put it all together. And it takes effort. And, when you start writing out the description of what you want the picture to look like, you need to read it multiple times to make sure that when you read that, it sounds very close to what you want, because I found that I had created an example design. It was for the Sierra, which as this cycles through, I'll try to point to it. I wanted someone to make the Sierra, so I came up with a I came up with a template of, I'm like, okay, this is what I want it to be. I want it to be, it's roughly this tall. This is the mechs that I want to use as inspiration. And, when I sent it out to a couple people and I started getting examples, just rough sketches, and I'm like, these are not even close. So I ended up rereading what I wrote before I talked to this artist, and I'm like, no wonder some people were confused. This is a terrible, terrible description. And I'm like, how did this get past me? How did I do this and I didn't catch it? I didn't spend enough time to make sure that my stuff was correct. So it does take some time and some effort to do it correctly. Yeah, there it is. That's the Sierra. People were giving me some weird stuff. One little caveat, one little thing that I have found that's very frustrating is that you will find artists who say, oh yeah, no, I can do that. I can do whatever. Yeah, you send them pictures like, yeah, I can do that. And they really can't. And I don't know if sometimes it's because they think they can, or if it's because they need the money, so they're willing to be like, yeah, no, I'll figure it out. Yeah, no, I can do it. You know, kind of like fake it till you make it. But the thing is with art, it's very, very easy to be like, okay, I've given you these pictures. And actually with the Sierra, originally, I had like legs picked out that I really liked, and I found like a torso with arms and everything. I'm like, okay, this is roughly what I want. I want it to be my own. I want you to change it. I don't want you to copy this, but I want you to take the legs of this mech and the torso of this mech and basically just stick them together, you know, make it different. But I want you to use this as inspiration. And I started getting back some really crazy stuff that wasn't even close. I'm like, did you even look at the pictures? Like, they're nowhere near. If you held them up, you're like, that is not the same mech at all. So that happens, and you're going to run into that, unfortunately, more than likely, unless you find like the best artist out of the gate. But you know, you have to decide what your price range is. You have to decide what you plan to do with it, what you want your look to be. I know it's a lot of stuff, and this video is a little bit longer than I intended, but it's part of the process. So this is the behind the scenes a little bit. If you would like any other videos specifically about the behind the scenes about getting an artist or doing all the extra design art side of things, what I've learned from that, comment below, and I'd be more than happy to pull the veil back a little bit further, because I know that when I first got started, I had nobody to ask. I had no idea. And you know, when you start doing a little bit of research, you start finding some of these guys out there doing like these beautiful, beautiful book covers. And like, yeah, I spent $1,000 on that book cover. Okay. I don't have $1,000 in the bank to just blow on a book cover, hoping my book will sell. So I understand having to work with a budget and having to do this in pieces. So anyway, if you guys are interested in any other topics related to artwork, comment below, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help you guys. All right. Talk to you guys all later.